Hello and welcome to Endstep, the Upkeep after show. Last week was the Season 2 premiere, and we were all playing our least played colors across the first 12 episodes of the show. And it was a pretty exciting game, came really close down to the end of the game. So today we are going to be spending a little bit more time talking about these decks and that game. Again, we were playing our least played colors from Season 1. Steven, what was your least played color, and why did you decide to build this deck in specific?
Azorius was my least played color in color pairing. I wanted to do something that was just different than anything I've done before. Pretty group huggy, with being limited to only 2 colors compared to like your group hug deck, which is 5 colors, all 5 colors. I just think he's a really cool card.
My least played color was black, and I don't know how that's possible. I actually double checked. Black is my most used color across all of my decks, so I am kind of surprised it was my least played color, but you know, when you have to do a specific theme on a specific episode, sometimes it gets screwy. Yeah, I decided to build this deck just because I was just looking through popular mono black commanders and I saw Crick and I was like, oh, Life Swap, that sounds really fun. So you got to see a little bit of the Life Swap shenanigans, specifically with that Soul Artifact. I almost got Jason out of the game with that. And then you did get to see the Tree of Perdition and Triskaidekaphobia combo, which I did just do a video about that. You can go watch that. I'll link it up above here. The other 2 main Life Swap cards I wanted to point out are Profane Transfusion and Magus of the Mirror. And yeah, that kind of just sums up the gist of the deck. It just seemed really fun and risky. I traditionally like paying a bunch of life to draw a bunch of cards. It's fun and exciting and puts me on the edge of my seat, so it's actually a lot of fun to pilot this deck just because it's so risky. There have been a few times where I've played this deck and I've just died before I do anything, but it's worth it just because it's really exciting, and the handful of games I have won playing this deck have been really fun. So I'm really happy I got to build it because I didn't actually have a mono black deck at the time. But Jason, your least played color was white. Tell us a little bit about where you wanted to take it.
I don't know if any of you watched the season wrap-up video that we did. I figured my least played color was white just because as a Magic player, I've never really played with the color too much. I have never been super impressed with it. But over the course of my Magic experience, I suppose, I've always collected a bunch of white cards that I'm like, this is really good. I just wish I had a deck that this would work well in. And so that third card, I don't know if in the video I said that there were 3 commanders that I was debating building around. It was either Mikaeus, God Eternal Oketra, and then the third one was actually Gandalf the White. I wanted to do it, but we're also doing an artifact theme, and I didn't want to do that twice. I didn't want to build an artifact or like Legends theme with Gandalf and then just to build another artifact deck later. Oketra, it was, I've done zombies before. I didn't want to do that. And so I went with Mikaeus because it was like, Mikaeus is a good card. I can utilize him if I need to, but really, I just want this deck to be
a white stuff, good stuff.
A white stuff, good stuff. Like, I named the deck a good old-fashioned, and it has all, like, good old-fashioned white strategies. Like, as you saw, there were some stacks pieces in there. I have more stacks pieces in the deck. Cards that make tokens, cards that protect me, cards that destroy permanents and board wipes and all that stuff. I was really excited to build this deck because I looked at it as an opportunity to just play with a bunch of white cards that I never would have gotten to play with in any other deck. At least until I build a deck that, utilizes one of them. So it was just, get all the good white cards that I had in my collection, throw them into a deck and see what happens.
Yeah, so Preston, your least played color was also black, and this is you didn't have to build a new deck. You already had this one.
No, I already had this one ready.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about it.
So this is Mari. In general, I really love tribal decks. I've grown beyond them a little bit over the years, but I still always will have a soft spot for them, so this one having sort of a weird tribal theme kind of touched me, and as soon as I saw this card when it was first announced, I thought it was really cool, and I built it probably a couple months after it was released because I just kept thinking about it, and I don't play black super often in most of my decks, but I really like this one, and the killing creatures, the exiling, just all of that I really like, so yeah.
Very removal focus, but yeah, let's spend a couple minutes talk about a couple cards that maybe are important to your deck that you didn't get to show off during the game. Steven?
So with my deck, I have a lot of cards in the deck that you can either creatures or artifacts that you can tap to untap another permanent. So you have all these cards out. You tap those cards, you'll untap Quain, and you can just keep tapping Quain. When one of the games the one game I played with Quain before this, I ended up having Kelpie Guide and Vizier of Tumbling Sands out. So I tap Quain, do the thing, and then I'll tap Kelpie Guide, untap Quain, tap him again, do the thing. Tap Vizier of Tumbling Sands, untap Quain, do it again. And then I also had Drombellower out, which is a spirit creature that says, untap all creatures you control during each other player's untap step. So I can tap Quain up, in that game specifically, up to 3 times on each player's
Yeah, that was
turns.
insane. That was a fun game.
It was really fun. And then I also have cards like 1,000 Year Elixir and Patriarch's Seal.
Kind of do the same thing.
Loreleth of the Healing House, you saw that. And then the only cards that will help me win the game are Felidar Sovereign, which is a 6-mana 4/6 cat beast with vigilance and lifelink. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. Or the only other card I have is Approach of the Second Sun. It's a 7-mana white sorcery that says, if this spell was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach of the Second Sun into its owner's library 7th from the top and you gain 7 life. With how many cards I draw, my main win con is Approach of the Second Sun. Felidar Sovereign is like...
Maybe sometimes.
Maybe. If I end up gaining a lot of life from Quain as well, I think Approach of the Second Sun might be a little more possible.
I will say that your deck also being like kind of a group hug deck also just enables fun games. Like the
true.
game where I was helping you test your deck, that game was really fun. And then
Yes,
obviously this game was a ton of fun. It was a great way to start off the season. So it's nice to have an enabler every now and then. But I've already highlighted a handful of the cards in my deck. And for the most part, it is just a bunch of other cards. The rest of the deck is mostly just lose life, do a thing. That's basically the gist of it. But I did want to point out a couple cards that would have been nice. I forgot that I had Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, and I could have rebalanced my mana. At the time, at the beginning of my turn, Nykthos, I think, didn't, paying for its ability, didn't do much of anything. But later on in the turn, I definitely could have tapped it for positive mana, and I definitely would have had the mana to cast and equipped Swiftfoot Boots to my Platinum Angel, which would have kept Jason from Path to Exiling, or Swords to Plowshare. And then I don't know if I also would have had the mana for it, but I also did have the One Ring in my hand, which is a really fun, awesome card, which we got to see Jason cast it, which was cool. So we still got to see this new card in action. But yeah, I definitely kind of felt like I got the game robbed from me. But rob is maybe the wrong word for it, because it was my fault that I forgot to make sure I set a little bit of mana aside to put into Nykthos, so I had the mana to do that and protect myself a little bit better. But I was pretty close to winning, and I haven't won a game in 5 or 6 episodes, so it would be nice to win at some point. But
I will say, I think that I won that game because of a lot of misplays throughout. I can't think of anything specifically other than that off the top of my head, but I don't feel like that this deck is the strongest of the decks at the table. I actually think it's probably the weakest. But what I think that it might do a little bit better than everyone else is just protect myself.
Yeah.
Instead of I have a few things in here, that I've pulled out that can win me the game.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
It's a lot of it is just stop people from doing stuff, and then if someone tries to do something to me, I protect myself. Mm-hmm. Which you saw a little bit of that. Some stuff you didn't see though was specific stuff that win the game. Now with Mikaeus, with his ability to put a counter on each creature I control, I can win with combat damage. I have enough creatures and I have enough big creatures to do that. The way that I did in this game. So I have Avacyn, Zatalpa. Obviously you saw Oketra. There's another creature that I have that doesn't necessarily win with combat damage, but it's Faithbound Judge. It's a defender that this front part doesn't matter too much, and then it has Disturb for 5 and 2 white. And if you don't know what this card does when it disturbs, it enters as an Aura Curse, and you enchant a player, and at the beginning of your upkeep, which would be my upkeep, I put a judgment counter on it, and then if there are 3 or more judgment counters on it, the enchanted player loses the game. So that's one way to do it. And then if it would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. So that's just one way to kill somebody. With that, another way I have, this is to me kind of janky, but it's just Beacon of Immortality and Ether Flux. Now, if you double my life total and it's not enough, I play Oketcher's Last Mercy first. My life total becomes my starting, double my starting, Ether Flux somebody. And I have like cards like Wall of Reverence. So like, say for instance I have Avacyn and Wall of Reverence, I gain 8 life at the end step, and maybe that puts me in a position where I can Ether Flux somebody at instant speed. I got Elspeth, which her emblem buffs my creatures. This is a card, so there's 2 cards in here that like I wouldn't play in any other game basically. Maybe Light of Day I would play, but Light of Day is black creatures can't attack or block. And like
that kind of seems like metagame.
Wait a minute.
Well, I just remember the episode, or not the episode, the season wrap up video, and your guys' least played color was black, and I had this in my collection, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hose them if I can. I figured, 1 card in 99. That's not like me planning to play against their deck specifically. I felt like that would be. I felt that would be fine. Here's another card that I would ordinarily never play except for in this deck, and it's Catastrophe. Destroy all lands or all creatures. Creatures destroyed this way cannot regenerate this turn. So the way I would want to use that is just destroy everybody's lands.
So mean.
And
I mean, if you have a couple treasure token making cards, which we know you have in the deck,
yep.
Or
Avacyn in play, yeah.
Yep. And
who
then
would ever blow up lands while having Avacyn in play?
another really fun card that I've had this card like pretty much since I started playing Magic, and I've never used it once, not in any game ever. And it's
Solemnity.
Solemnity. I don't know how to say it. Don't judge me, or judge me. I don't really care. It just says players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. Now that would negate a few of the things that I have going on here, like the counters that go on Sinner's Judgment. Those wouldn't go on if this was on the battlefield. Mikaeus doesn't really do anything with this on the battlefield. So, but the deck's not built around Mikaeus, and it's not built around the Sinner's Judgment. It's just doing fun white stuff. And then another fun combo that I would like to get off at some point is play Out of Time, and then with its ETB trigger on the stack, which what it says is untap all creatures, then phase them out until Out of Time leaves the battlefield. Put a time counter on Out of Time for each creature phased out this way, and it has Vanishing. So basically, every creature gets untapped and then phases out, and then for each creature, it gets a counter, and then at the beginning of my upkeep, I remove a time counter from it, and then once all the time counters are gone, everybody's creatures comes back. But with this ETB trigger on the stack, I would cast Teferi's Protection, all my creatures would phase out, and then everybody else's creatures would phase out, but my creatures would come back in on my turn, and then I would be able to swing at people, and nobody would be able to do anything.
Yeah, that can be game winning if you have enough creatures. Normally I would remind people of that in the description of our gameplay videos. You can find all the deck lists, but Jason just gave you his entire deck list. So, but it's good.
See, that's why it's kind of janky, because it's like it takes
what's the point of the deck?
3, 4, 5, or 6 cards to actually get some synergies going and whatnot.
All the more impressive you got the win. Preston, are there a couple cards you wanted to highlight?
There's a couple ones: Revel in Riches, Black Market, Liliana. Some game enders. The cards I wish I had gotten most are honestly Arcane Signet and Soul Ring. I just needed more mana that game.
That's true. Steven, getting us all up to his level, like where lands were. Oh my god, that was beautiful.
If he hadn't done that, I would have lost probably like 5-10 turns earlier.
It's okay. It's fine.
You're not salty at all, are you?
Hey, I tried to kill everybody at once in that game, and then they saved themselves.
You did.
Blue player, where were you with your instant speed stuff, Blue player?
I had a Swords to Plowshare, and I totally my brain farted when you put because you had Gandalf attacking me, and you attached, was it Swiftfoot Boots or
No, it had Lightning Greaves on it.
Either way, I just totally like brain farted, and I was like, "Oh crap, I can't kill it." So that was I could have survived if you didn't do that.
Well, so you misplayed. I misplayed. Does anyone else have any major?
Like I said,
misplays they
I
wanted to
really
point
think
out?
I won this game because of misplays.
I could have wiped his board instead of trying to go for the win with the losing life. It might have won me the game, but honestly, I'm not sure with how quickly he was building his board up.
True.
And I did have a lot of. To be fair, I did have a lot of protection throughout the game.
Yeah, it definitely.
And
felt
I
like
have
you
a
were
lot of
metagaming.
counter spells in my deck, but I wasn't. For some reason, wasn't drawing many of them. Well, I wasn't the one who drew the most.
But
amount
you
of
did draw
cards
a
in
counter
the-
spell.
A counter spell.
So, 3 of the 4 of us had to build this deck specifically for this episode. Preston was the only one who already had this deck. What do you, myself and you two think about keeping this deck together? Are you going to keep it? Are you going to upgrade it? Or are you just like, it was a fun for one-time thing. I'm going to move on and do something else.
With the money that I invest into Magic, like, I don't want to like one time build a deck and then be like, all right, I'm done with it. I might as well use this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very fun deck, and I think it'd be fun to bust out every once in a while.
I think it works.
I think its potential was you only just saw like a beginning of it. I mean, because like I've showed you, like if I can tap Quain like 5 times on every player's turn.
So I am going to keep this deck, but I think I'm going to try making it Selesnya, or not Selesnya. I'm an idiot.
You're gonna make that black deck into a green-white deck?
Yeah, no, I meant to say Orzhov because there's a old reserved list commander that I think would be better for life swap because she's 4 mana, and then you can just, assuming she gets to go unchecked, I just wait until it comes back to my turn. I do her ability as many times as I want because you can respond to it. I don't remember her name. I'll have her on screen here for you guys to read, but you can set your life total to either 1 or 2, or even 0 if you have like Platinum Angel in play or whatever. So it's much better for setting up the life swap, and then having access to white, white-black together specifically means there's other cards
Then
I
you could
can
do
play.
more life gain.
Well, I don't care about the life
white.
gain, but there are more life swap cards in white, and then having black and white together means that I can play a few more cards that make me gain life in efficient ways, whether it be the white-black talisman, there's Caves of Kolios, which is a land, stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of... so I think that's what I'm going to try. I'm going to try making it a white-black deck. But it was a lot of fun. I'm going to keep the list handy. Well, I guess it's online. So if I decide I don't like this as much, I'd rather go back to mono black. It would be easier for me to put it back together. But it's a lot of fun. It's risky. It fits my playstyle. I dig it.
I'm also gonna keep my deck. This is the first mono white deck I've ever built, and even when I was playtesting it and I didn't win those games, and then winning this game, I've had fun with it every single time I've played it.
I feel the same
And
way
because
with
you haven't
mine.
really built around one commander, you can just keep swapping out the ones you like.
Exactly, and then that
Is
just
Talpa
gives,
your commander?
that just gives me
Well,
a lot of variability. Like I can take stuff out and build around Zatalpa and make it like mono white Voltron, kind of like, it won't be as good as Light Paws, but it's similar concept.
With all those abilities. though.
Or I could really kind of go. I feel like if I went with Gandalf as the commander, I would have to make it really spicy. I'd have to make the deck like super spicy.
So
Just because his ability is actually nuts. Like I hope that the Magic community is aware of how busted Gandalf the White is. Such a good card. I mean, I literally saved myself. Granted, it took me 9 mana to do it, but I saved myself with him in the One Ring.
Yep, that's true. What an interesting flavor combination there that we
Yeah.
got Gandalf coming in. With
Yeah,
the one
that
ring.
was great. I was really glad I got to play both those cards this game. Because actually, in playtesting it, first of all, I've never played the One Ring. And in playtesting it, I didn't get to play Gandalf the White at all. So I'm glad that I got to do both those cards. And Micaeus made an appearance.
Yeah. So, awesome game. Great way to start Season 2. Thanks for all of you guys for supporting. Thanks for my friends here for making this show possible. Thanks again for subscribing, checking out this video, checking out the series, all that good stuff. yeah, season 2, it's going to be a lot of fun, exciting decks and themes. And we have, this is what, our 17th, 18th video for this series. So if you haven't seen the other ones, you could go check them out, see if there's other cool themes that you'd like to see gameplay for. And I guess that's it. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys very soon with some other awesome Magic the Gathering content.
Bye-bye.
Bye.